When people say that Christians shouldn't vote based on their religion or based on their ethics because of religion, do people have a point? Do people in the rest of the world have cultures based on their religions? Well, let's take a look. So, if you look at Western countries, Western parts of the world, we are influenced by Christianity, by Catholicism, by Eastern Orthodoxy, etc. That has shaped Western culture. So, we see that in our art, like cathedrals, Renaissance art. We have holidays and traditions that are practiced on a national level, for example, like Christmas and Easter, some holidays are actually recognized in the entire nation. And then our law and morality is based, a lot of the legal system, especially in Europe and North America, have their roots in Judeo Christian ethics. But that's what people are arguing against. We shouldn't make laws based on Christianity. Okay, well, let me show you some examples of other parts of the world where they have a culture and laws based on their religion. So let's take a look at Arab and Persian, Middle Eastern cultures. They have been influenced by Islam. So, this, for example, is how women in Saudi Arabia dress. That's because of Islamic influence. That's because of laws based on Islam. If you look at their holidays that they practice is Ramadan. That's a holiday that's specifically for Muslims. So, on a national level in Middle Eastern countries, they recognize Ramadan. You'll also hear the call to prayer. If you go visit a Middle Eastern country, the call to prayer will ring in the streets and everybody goes to pray 5 times a day. That has roots in Islam. Okay. So if you look at South Asian cultures, they're influenced by Hinduism, Buddhism, Sikhism, and Jainism. And you'll see that in their art, their architecture, and they also have what's called a caste system. Even though it's officially been abolished, some of the Hindu caste system still influences social structures in rural India. So I, for example, studied Hinduism. Before I knew Jesus Christ, I studied Hinduism. I also studied Buddhism. I studied New Age, spirituality. I even identified as an atheist for a big part of my life. So when I was actually studying with a Hindu monk, he was explaining the caste system. When they talk about karma, reincarnation, they believe that if a person is homeless, it's part of their karma. That's based on religion. So they might not have the same motivation to go help a homeless person than a Christian does, because a Christian doesn't believe in reincarnation, doesn't believe in past life karma. So if there's a person that's homeless or somebody that needs help, a Christian would be likely to go help that person, because we're not looking at that person who's suffering based on merits, which is what they talk about in Buddhism, something that they did in the past life to get them to where they are. So their culture in India and other Asian countries is based on Hinduism, Buddhism. So the way that their culture society runs is based on that religion. And then if you look at African cultures, they actually have a mix. There's some Christianity in there, there's some Islam in there, but then they also have voodoo. They also have a religion that's based on spirits and sacrificing of animals. And so a lot of their culture, their mentality, their ideologies are going to be based on, spirits and energies and having to sacrifice animals to cleanse yourself of sins. So, everywhere in the world, there's influence. People are making decisions based on their ethics, which a lot of times is foundational in our religion. Now, we can say, well, let's just live in a place that has no religion at all. Well, there's atheists that are living in the world, and if you want to make an argument that uh, to make a decision based on complete lack of religion, then I'm going to ask you, based on what ethics then? If there's no religion and there's no God and we shouldn't include God in our politics and our decision making as we move throughout life, then where are our ethics going to come from? Or you can't say that ethics will then be innate, that we all know good and evil. That's not true. Because if we take God out of the equation, which is an ultimate truth, and then you and I are going to be left to create our own truths. And if we create our own truths, my truth won't be your truth won't be my truth. And if we're each coming up with our own truths, then there's no ultimate right or wrong. Someone can say abortion is okay up to 9 months. Someone can say abortion is okay up to 6 weeks or 8 weeks. There's no line between good and evil because everyone is going to be able to create their own right or wrong, their own good and evil. But if you look at what God says He knew you in your mother's womb. That means that at the moment of conception, you were already known. That means that you have a name, God knows who you are, and then to kill you in your mother's womb would be absolutely wrong. Whether we let you live 6 weeks and then killed you, 8 weeks and then killed you, let you go all the way to 6, 7, 8, 9 months and then took your life, you were known from your mother's womb. So that's a line in the sand. It's very clear what right and wrong is, but that's because I now am using God as my barometer. What does God say is right and wrong? And whatever God says is right and wrong, that's how I am choosing to live my life, not based on what I think is right or wrong. It's all that matters is what God thinks is right and wrong. Now, about abortion. If you have had an abortion, and if you haven't gone through an emotional recovery series where you get to, forgive whoever it is that you need to forgive, where you get to memorialize your baby and give your baby a name, I encourage you to go to mybabyinheaven.com, click on recovery, and there you can take this 5-week series, either get the handbook, and so you can do it at home or watch the video. I recommend that you do both at the same time. And then once you give your baby a name, then you can click over here to the baby memorial and add your baby here to this online memorial. And I will give you a certificate of life to your baby. And you'll even get your own individual link that you can share if you'd like, or just keep it so that your baby is always memorialized. Okay. Now, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, or you can even reach out to me on social media. And always contact me through my website. That's probably the easiest way, mybabyinheaven.com. Thanks so much. Have a great day.